What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today, it's probably time we had a look at the very first security skill Digimon we've ever actually seen. We heard that there were going to be Digimon with security skills in this set. We were warned that it was going to happen. But now we've actually gone and seen a couple. And shout out, as always, to the lovely folks over at digimoncard.dev for cleaning up these images, making them nice and easy, giving translations, and just being generally awesome dudes, quite frankly. So, we're talking today about GREYMON and GARURUMON. We're going to start off with GREYMON because, I don't know, why not? And what we've got is a red Digimon, which is a 5 cost to play normally. Level 4, I should add, which is fine. It's about what we would expect. It's not terrible. It's about on the higher end, but it's not particularly high. We've got a 2 cost to evolve, which is what we see from the vast majority of level 4s. And we see 4,000 power, which is on the lower end. It is on the lower end here of level 4 Digimon. So given that the power here is on the lower end, but the cost isn't, we need a pretty good skill. And I've already ruined it, right? It's got a security skill. But what security skill does it have, pray tell? At the end of the battle, put this Digimon into play without paying its cost. You get to play it for free. Now, that shouldn't particularly surprise you. I mean, way back in the starter decks, we saw a whole bunch of Tamer and option cards, things like Gaia Force. Gaia Force is one of these lovely option cards, and essentially what it does is it destroys any Digimon, which is kind of cool when it comes out, but it's one of the first security skills we saw, and it's a very standard security skill, which is to say, do what the card says. Activate the card's main skill, the play skill, when it comes out as a security card. And as it stands at the moment, though this may change in the future, from Yagami Taichi all the way on, all of the, and I think I'm right in saying this, correct me in the comments if I'm making a mistake, but all of the Tamers we've seen so far have this skill of just play it without paying the cost. So, and I'm not saying that's always going to be the case. I hope it's not always the case. But certainly, as a starter for 10 security skill, one of the first security skills we've seen, this is probably one that we could have predicted was going to come out. This is exactly the kind of security skill that we would expect. The one question I have, and I'm fairly sure I know the answer, does it come in with summoning sickness? Now, if it also had blocker, clearly it wouldn't be able to block this turn because it would come in with summoning sickness. I'm talking about on my turn. So, it gets played during my opponent's turn. When it comes to my turn, does that mean that all of a sudden I'm allowed to just use it even though it's the first one of my turns that it's been down for? And I'm assuming the answer here is yes. Now, certainly in other card games where you can't play cards or you can't use cards the turn they're played, if they're played on your opponent's turn, then when it comes over to your turn, you're welcome to go. Things like Keyforge work in that regard. Plus, I mean, if we go and have a little bit of a look at the rulebook here, it says very clearly, Digimon cannot attack on the turn they were summoned. Well, this isn't the turn they were summoned. They were summoned on your opponent's turn, so I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to attack this turn. There's no guarantee they might come in with a different rule, etc. But as it stands at the moment, I see absolutely nothing in the rules to change that. And that's awesome. That gives you a huge advantage. Because now your opponent has a turn, and when your opponent's going through their turn, they have a reasonable expectation of how many Digimon you are going to have. Let's say they've got 2 security cards left. They know that you have to attack 3 times minimum to win the game. 2 to get rid of the security, and then 1 to win the game when they've got no security. And they can see how many blockers they've got and how many attackers you've got, etc. And your opponent can have a pretty good look at your chances of being able to do various things on your turn. But now when one of these Digimon come out as a security card on their turn, being able to then attack on your turn, that throws your opponent's maths off horrifically. It means that the second one of these hits the field, you essentially have 1 more attacker than your opponent was preparing for. And the thing is, if this GREYMON hits the field, that doesn't mean that it's going to be a GREYMON. Remember, in Digimon, you can evolve whenever you gosh darn well feel like it, just so you've got enough memory. Now, we're talking kind of a little bit nuclear here, but we've talked about the starter decks quite a lot, so let's go starter deck War GREYMON. Now, it's a level 6, so you've got to go up 2 more levels. It will generally cost 3 to evolve into a level 5 and 4 to evolve into War GREYMON. But then War GREYMON, for every 2 evolution sources, gets security attack plus 1. Well, if you go straight from the level 4 GREYMON up, you'll have 2 security sources, so you'll all of a sudden have a 12,000 power Digimon with security attack plus 1. So now all of a sudden your opponent's looking at your board and going, wait, there's a GREYMON out, and that GREYMON's going to be able to attack next turn. I wasn't ready for that. What if it turns into a War GREYMON? And then all of a sudden they've got an extra security attack. And what this does is it throws off your opponent's plans. It throws off the maths. I mean, yes, obviously you get an extra Digimon and that's lovely. That's the easy bit. The awkward bit here is suddenly realizing that your opponent has more Digimon than you thought. More security attacks than you thought. And that's where it gets awkward. Because then you run into all of these, one of the big things about Digimon is the memory gauge, and trying to figure out how much memory you can give to your opponent to use to play cards during their turn. And just having this extra Digimon out that can then evolve, etc., etc., can completely throw your plans off. If it's early enough, that could still be fine, because you could still go, well, I would rather play this card, but it's more important to slow my opponent down. Thank goodness it happened now. But what if it's late? What if it's late enough in the turn that actually you've already given your opponent the memory, and that's a huge problem? Or you're essentially forced into giving them the memory. That's not so easy, ladies and gentlemen. That ain't so easy. Now, to be fair, the chances of coming out as a security card are quite slim, if I'm honest with you. You got 5 security cards, 50 card decks, that's a 1 in 10 chance. But that doesn't mean 1 in 10 games you'll get to play this for free. Because there will be games where this comes out as the final security card, when your opponent wins, and then you never get to see it. Or there will be games where you win quite handily and you never get to see it. And there'll be games where your opponent takes out 3 or 4 security cards in one big giant winning turn. So even though it wasn't the last security card, you never get to see it. So it's not like 1 in 10 games you'll get to play this for free. It will actually be quite a bit lower. And I suppose we should probably mention GARURUMON here. It is a black GARURUMON rather than the blue we've generally seen so far. And the stats here are exactly the same as GREYMON. 5 cost to play normally, 2 cost to evolve, 4,000 power. And the skill here is exactly the same as we saw on GREYMON. It has got a security skill whereby at the end of the turn, you can play it without paying the cost, which means a lot of my analysis holds true here. It's still not going to come out all that often as a security card, but it still allows you to completely mess up your opponent. And that's essentially where we're going with this. That's the maths we're going through here. Am I going to get enough of an advantage? Am I going to screw my opponent over enough to warrant playing this card? And the answer might be no. Honestly, and I know this is a cop-out answer, I apologise, it really is going to vary on a deck-by-deck basis. Because the fact of the matter is, right, if all you want to do, if this doesn't come out as a security card, so all you're doing is playing this as just a regular Digimon, it's not good. Like, if you want a level 4 Digimon, and you've got 5 memory to spare, you could have GROUNDRUMON that's got 2,000 extra power for exactly the same cost. If it doesn't come out as a security card, the stats are bad. And it has no skill. You are playing this for the chance that it will come out as a security card, and that when it comes out as a security card, it will be absolutely worth it. And it is really as simple as that. I'm kind of inclined to like these. I do think they are going to give you a big advantage in some games. I just honestly don't know if they will give you enough of an advantage in enough games to really make them worth having a play with. I think these are the kind of things that are going to need to be tested within an inch of their life. Sounds like fun! Let's get on that, shall we? For now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about these new security Digimon and what other skills you would like to see other than just playing them for free. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy. That's where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of good things. But by far, the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.